Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're uncovering the secrets of what is, without a doubt, the most powerful, enigmatic, and, let's be real, terrifying organization in the entire Dune universe. If you've ever found yourself wondering who's actually pulling the strings behind the emperors, the dukes, and those massive armies in Frank Herbert's masterpiece, well, you're in the exact right place. We are going to decode the Bene Gesserit.
So, let's dive right into this mystery. Imagine a universe where the ultimate power isn't held by the person sitting on the throne, but by the woman standing quietly behind it, just whispering in the ruler's ear. We're peeling back the layers of an order that has secretly guided human civilization for literal millennia. Think of them as part political advisors, part religious engineers, and part extreme galactic matchmakers.
Because there is just a massive, stark contrast between how the Bene Gesserit present themselves to the emperor and the great houses and what they actually are. On the surface, they're a highly respected school for women. They're indispensable political advisors, human lie detectors known as truthsayers, and incredibly trained companions. But just beneath that carefully curated public face, they are a massive intelligence operation. We're talking religious engineers and eugenic puppet masters operating on a galactic scale. Section 1. Mastery of Mind and Body. To truly grasp their galactic influence, we've got to start at the micro level, looking at the absolutely incredible physical and mental conditioning of the individual sisters.
You see, in the Dune universe, thousands of years ago, there was this massive conflict called the Butlerian Jihad, and it resulted in a total ban on all thinking machines. No computers, no AI, nothing. So humanity had to adapt, right? The Bene Gesserit sisterhood stepped up and developed this rigorous training philosophy centered on prana bindu. Basically, it's the absolute psychosomatic mastery of every single nerve and muscle in the body. They essentially turned the human body and mind into the ultimate instrument to replace those banned machines.
And this perfectly illustrates that their skills aren't magic, even though people constantly call them witches. It's just extreme, unbelievable biological and mental discipline. They can literally command people using the voice, which is this wild neurolinguistic trick that forces obedience just through vocal tones. They have truth sense to detect lies via microscopic shifts in your body language. They can internally neutralize poisons, completely control their own fertility down to choosing a child's biological sex. And for the highest-ranking Reverend Mothers, they can access other memory. That is a literal, living archive of all their female ancestors' consciousness. Incredible, right? But actually getting there, it is brutal. Before someone can fully wield this kind of power, they have to face the Gom Jabbar test, famously administered by figures like Reverend Mother Gaia's Helen Moham. This deadly trial forces an initiate to put their hand in a box that induces excruciating burning pain, all while a poisoned needle is held right to their neck. If they give in to the animal instinct to just pull away, they die. It's harsh, but it ensures that only individuals with supreme, rational self-control survive to serve the sisterhood's goals. Moving on to Section 2, the Missionaria Protectiva. Let's see how this builds from individual physical control all the way to the manipulation of entire planetary societies. The Bene Gesserit have this specialized vision known as the Missionaria Protectiva. Basically, it's their playbook for religious engineering. Step 1. Deliberately seed carefully crafted myths and superstitions on rugged, isolated planets. Step 2. Wait. Just let those beliefs ferment for generations until they're deeply ingrained in the culture. And Step 3. If a sister is ever stranded or needs to exert control, they exploit those prophecies. Which is exactly what they did on the desert planet Arrakis, planting the legend of a messiah, the Lisan al-Gaib, just to activate it when the time was right. Looking at it analytically, this operates exactly like an invisible cognitive virus or a behavioral operating system for whole civilizations. It's a fascinating parallel. Just as real-world cultural myths can subtly shape power dynamics and public consensus, the Missionaria Protectiva completely bypasses rational scrutiny to shape behavior. The masses don't even realize they're following a prefabricated script designed by someone else. So they've woven this vast, invisible web across the entire galaxy. To the emperor, they're trusted truthsayers, but in reality, spies monitoring the highest seat of power. To the great houses, they supply loyal wives who are secretly being used as breeding stock. Even alongside other massive powers like the Spacing Guild, the sisterhood quietly embeds their agents and narratives into every rival faction to maintain dominance. And to the Fremen, they are the hidden architects of their deepest, most sacred religious beliefs.
Which brings us to Section 3, the Grand Breeding Program. Because why do they need all this power? Well, all of this religious and political maneuvering exists for one reason: to protect their ultimate, universe-spanning project. The sheer scale of their ambition is honestly staggering. For 10,000 years, they've been subtly mingling the bloodlines of the great houses. For the last 90 generations, they've been running a hyper-focused, secretive eugenics program, meticulously isolating specific genetic traits like prescience and intelligence. By the time the main story of Dune kicks off, they are literally just one single generation away from the culmination of this massive master plan. Their ultimate goal? To produce the Kwisatz Haderach. You see, the sisterhood, with all its unbelievable power, has a biological limit. Their female physiology only allows them to access the memories of their female ancestors, so they're trying to breed a male Reverend Mother, a super being capable of surviving the lethal spice agony, someone who can look into both the female and male ancestral past, and whose mind can bridge space and time to actually see the future. They genuinely believed that if they could create him, they could control him. But this is exactly where their hubris caught up with them. The sisterhood's precise calculation dictated that Lady Jessica, an Atreides concubine, was to have a daughter. That daughter would wed Feyd-Rautha the Harkonnen, healing a galactic feud, and their child would be the Kwisatz Haderach. But Lady Jessica defied them. Out of genuine love for her duke, she used her Bene Gesserit body control to bear his son instead, Paul Atreides. So, one sister's emotional choice completely shattered 90 generations of meticulous planning. And that leads us to Section 4, the Paul Atreides problem. That single act of defiance brings us to the biggest crisis the Bene Gesserit ever faced. Jessica's decision meant the Kwisatz Haderach arrived a generation too early and completely under the wrong circumstances. From the sisterhood's perspective, Paul is a catastrophic success. I mean, he actually possesses all the immense mental and prescient powers they spent millennia trying to engineer. He's the ultimate weapon they always wanted. But because he was born early and shaped by his father's values and the harsh desert of Arrakis rather than the sisterhood's control, he immediately turns that power right back against them. Paul brilliantly unravels their entire web. Remember the Missionaria Protectiva? Yeah, Paul hijacks the exact messianic legends they planted on Arrakis, weaponizing the Fremen's fanaticism to form an unstoppable army. He seizes control of the planet Spice, which is literally the single most important resource in the galaxy. He completely bypasses their political marriage network by taking a Fremen warrior, Chani, as his true partner, introducing wild, unpredictable genetics into the universe. In a terrifyingly short amount of time, he strips the Bene Gesserit of absolutely all their leverage. Ultimately, the Bene Gesserit find themselves completely sidelined by simple logic. A prescient ruler is fundamentally incompatible with any other long-term power structure. You just can't run a secretive, centuries-long conspiracy in the shadows when the emperor sitting on the throne can clearly see every single move you're going to make before you even make it. Section 5, Protectors or Manipulators. This catastrophic loss of control forces us to step back and look at the central philosophical question at the very heart of the Bene Gesserit's existence. The sisterhood always claims they are the protectors of the human race, right? They argue their breeding program and political meddling are totally necessary to prevent human stagnation and ensure our survival in a dangerous universe. But our sources suggest that centuries of institutional inertia turned them into something much colder. In their quest to save humanity, they reduced individual humans to mere genetic raw material, easily manipulated docile bodies. They kind of stopped serving humanity's future and just started serving the survival of their own self-perpetuating program. The philosopher Michel Foucault's words perfectly echo the true nature of their control here. The Bene Gesserit rarely shout from thrones. Their true power always came from observing, from listening, from forcing others to speak, and then extracting the truth from the shadows. As truthsayers and concubines, they were the ones who questioned, while the powerful men of the universe felt compelled to answer. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with a question to ponder. When you look at the Bene Gesserit with their incredible discipline, their weaponized myths, and their millennia-spanning eugenics, who truly writes the script of human history? Are the unseen forces shaping the Dune universe working for the ultimate salvation of mankind, or simply for its absolute control? Definitely think about that the next time you dive into the sands of Arrakis.